Everyone, are you ready for your first storyteller tonight? Yeah? Okay, keep it going for Steve.
I would have stepped on it. So last March, my wife and I flew down to Los Angeles to see Springsteen in concert. And I happened to be in a spot, yeah, you must be my age. We're still at an age where that's socially acceptable. I was in a position where I was able to get a high five from Bruce, and I had the experience and the joy of never wanting to wash my hand again. Months later, he had the book signing here at Elliott Bay Bookstore. My wife and I went to that as well, and so we not only have pictures of the concert in that, we have pictures of us with him in that. And I was surprised how thrilled I was to see those pictures. She gave me a present for Christmas with these pictures, and I got a little misty. Bruce has been my favorite since 1981, but he wasn't my first favorite. My first favorite artist group was Herman's Hermits. I'm shocked you guys know him. I was about 4 years old, and I would hang out with my brother in his room. My brother was about 10 years older. He had a great record collection. And Hermans were my favorite. They had songs that appealed to a 4-year-old. About Mrs. Brown's lovely daughter, I could identify with that. About a woman next door who married 8 guys named Henry, I could identify with that. And there was this one occasion where this same brother had a baseball game at a park that didn't have permanent bathrooms. They had the 60s equivalent of a honey bucket. And you stand in line, you go inside, you do your business, you get out. Well, I stood in line, I went inside, and I'm assuming it was a seated affair because I had time to sing. And the song I was singing was Henry VIII. And I was singing it full-throated, second verse, same as the first, the whole thing. And it was a cause of joy for people outside. I don't remember doing this, but my mother told me about it, and her reputation is unimpeachable. So this story became kind of a fun story to tell, but over time it became kind of an inspiring story for me because I'm someone who has some insecurities. I can be shy and I can be worried about my weaknesses and my shortcomings. And this song reminds me that there are times in our lives when we don't care what other people think. We're going to do what we want. We're going to have fun wherever we are, even if it's sitting on a toilet singing our hearts out. The more public, the better. And so that has been a source of inspiration. That same brother moved away to Hawaii. He's lived there for about 40 years. And he was coming to visit us. And it happened to coincide with the time that Peter Noone, the lead singer of Herman's Hermits, was going to be performing at the Admiral Theater in Bremerton. So we decided to go. And we go to the show, and Peter Noone sings as well as he did in the 60s. Whether you think that's a compliment or not, that's up to you. But he sang really well, and he told a lot of jokes. A lot of the jokes were at his own expense, but some of them were at the expense of the audience. He said some people from Belfair were there. They must have driven there in their house. It was funny because I'm not from Belfair. Afterwards, there was a meet and greet, and we stand in line, and there's a couple of people ahead of us that the woman asked if the man could get a picture with Peter Noone. And this guy was about the same size I am. And Peter Noone said, sure. Will we need a wide-angle lens? And it hurt. I mean, I hurt for that guy, and I hurt for myself. Well, earlier I'd been yelling at or laughing at the people from Belfair. But this one really stung. And it stung in such a way that my brother had his conversation with Peter Noone, and it turns out my brother was in radio for years. They had mutual friends. I got a picture of my brother with him, and my brother asked if I wanted a picture, and I said, no, that's okay, because I couldn't wait to get out of there. This thing had hurt. It had wounded me. It didn't damage me, but it wounded me in that moment. I got better. I got over it. And I look at these pictures of Springsteen now, and I recognize that I don't have one with me and Peter Noone, Herman, my first favorite artist. And I regret that. I regret that I didn't overcome whatever I needed to overcome to get a picture that night. But I do have a picture of my brother chatting it up with Peter Noone. And that serves as a reminder of sometimes it's okay to let things wound you and to do what you want anyway, even if it means sitting on the toilet singing your heart out.